Caribou Weather Dude YouTube. I'm Joey, only up here in Wells, British Columbia. Here's my new blue sky. Apparently, I'm not the only one. Brandon Houck has also got Facebook restrictions right now. Brandon Houck, he's got Facebook restrictions for trying to get too many likes, it said. I got Facebook restrictions, it said, for trying to promote drugs when I was talking about how I got clean and sober. Yes, so I have made the jump to Blue Sky along with a lot of other people. You can find me there, Joey Only Blue Sky. I'm putting a lot of my weather stuff there until I can. The ban states that I cannot use my group, Interior Weather and Wilderness Watchers. There's 39,000 people there, so Facebook robots have made this mistake, and now 39,000 people don't have direct access to the weather information that I give out. So that's why I need to diversify my platforms. Later this week, I'll be adding some stuff onto my Patreon, try to get that going more, and I'm even looking at making a website, trying to diversify and get away from having to rely on the crutch of Facebook. Anyways, we have lots of systems and stories to talk about right now. Arctic air mass is really threatening to make a big breakout, and we do see some concerning temperatures in northern BC next week, and maybe later in the week after that. We got this really big storm. I mean, we have some weather warnings going on in British Columbia. We'll talk about that, some snowfall warnings and advisories that are happening for this weekend. But we have this other storm coming that's on Tuesday, and some models are showing it's going to dig down real deep, like into the 960s. Man, that'll be bad news. But it could be slamming more its tail into California, Oregon. So we don't, it's a little ways out yet, but we still have this big storm, and we have this big Arctic outbreak. That's the things we're kind of watching. We have some answers for some of the questions from last episode. Let's go. It's the bad news show. There it is. This is bad news. My God.
Falling out right now.
Anything could happen. Get on! Wow. I'll watch the video later. They try mopping this. It's a whole bunch of new snowfall warnings for even the caribou. This is brand new as of I was starting this with only the one snowfall warning, and since then we've got a bunch more. So let's get through all this and see what we can do. The Highway 5 area, Blue River, Lampriere, Mica Dam as well. So up that Columbia, up the Rocky Mountain Trench, parts of the Yellowhead Highway, Kinbasket. You're looking from Saturday afternoon to Sunday morning, 5 to 10 centimeters, maybe 15 expected for Saturday night in some areas, depending where you are, right? Frontal system is pushing in. Periods of snow will continue through Sunday, but at lower elevations, you'll probably see more of a transition of wet or rain, snow, wet flurries, rain. 5 centimeters could happen additionally, though, on Sunday as well. We'll go over to the caribou, see how different this is. 10 to 20 centimeters. Parts of Highway 16 included, so that's for both these warnings. This is areas of the Caribou Mountains, including Wells. There we go. That's me. Likely, for the first time ever, I've seen Environment Canada put Wells in a snowfall warning. That is unbelievable. Honestly, this is a huge change. Because we're one of the snowiest places, incorporated communities in all of Canada, and it's just like, well, the caribou is getting snowfall, but only in Wells, so we won't issue a snowfall warning. So here in Wells, they had to rely on people like me starting to do this, but things have improved over the years. Since I started Interior Weather Watchers 10 years ago, things have improved. Technology's improved, communication's improved, cooperation's improved, and we're getting better and better and better. All of us, including Environment Canada, with what little resources sometimes we have to work with, we're getting better and better, and that includes myself. Now, that's my pitch for you to help me have more resources. Support the channel if you can. Stormy system will move into central BC interior on Saturday, bringing heavy snow to parts of the region. Areas near Caribou Mountains like Wells can expect to see the brunt of the snowfall. Further west along 97 corridor, you probably won't get very much at all. You're on the dry side there. You're getting more of the snow, rain shadow effect. We do have special weather statements down the coast. Even this is a separate one up here for areas along Sea to Sky Highway, 99 Highway. Here we go. Squamish Whistler, 10 to 15 centimeters of snow possible, right? Funnel system will arrive on Saturday, bringing rain and snow to areas further inland. Snow expected to begin Saturday morning, maybe mixed transition in the day. Temperatures will hover around zero. Some melting will occur on the ground, making snowfall accumulations uncertain. Current guidance indicates snowfall amounts near 10 to 15 centimeters of snow are possible before the precipitation tapers off on Saturday night. So drivers are reminded to stop being goddamn idiots. Everywhere visibility may be reduced. Go down to Vancouver, and we got more looking at rainfall here, maybe some wind, heavy rain, strong winds expected. Funnel system arriving Saturday. That'll bring periods of heavy rain to the south coast over Howe Sound, Metro Vancouver. Light rain will start Saturday morning as precipitation intensity increases, snow levels could lower to 150 meters, resulting in heavy rain becoming mixed with wet snow in higher terrain of Vancouver Island. So that's like, up at SFU campus, for example, or North Shore, you might see some snow falling there. Total rainfalls amounts of 30 to 50 mils are expected. Strong southwest winds could gust 70 kilometers. Areas of Strait of Georgia and Boundary Bay Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon, then easing off Saturday at night. Here in Wells right now, thanks to Diggy's Diner here, the cafe in Wells, for making my weather station happen. Minus 3.2, cold. It's very dry cold right now, actually. Very dry cold, and you can tell the sun is been out off and on during the day, and there's this crispness to the air. We really haven't seen really a warm temperature today. We haven't got any further than 0.6 above today, and we were down to 5 below, almost 6 below last night. I thought we were going to break through 6 below. That was the forecast high, but a bank of cloud came in, dropped some snow on us. So we do have all this weather this weekend going on, right? But this other thing happening, storm that's going to form here in the next bunch of days. And it's pretty interesting. So you can see right now, we do have that cold air. It is kind of slamming down on us. We're getting it's chillier right now than I would like it to be, for sure. And here comes a blast of the weekend weather in. So there's our Saturday and Sunday snowfall. And that slides on down and then finally tapers off to southern BC for early, overnight into Monday morning. And that's now spreading some snow into Alberta, probably too, I would expect at that time, as a new clipper or low will try to form in there, I'm sure. And here's our next storm developing, and look what it does. Bam, by Wednesday, it's got real strong, real deep. It's sitting right off the coast. It's hammering down. So what's happening is it's so abundantly powerful. But that stream right now in this GFS model, and so far what I've seen in ECMWF model, seem to indicate that the storm is going to hang out close enough to BC and be very strong, though, and it will lash a lot of this nastiness into the west coast of the United States, right? First blast of cold air and precip has worked its way across the continent by middle of next week to late next week, and we've had a storm system that'll be pretty potent, I think, and we'll get to some of these details. But here's kind of the setup we're looking at, and we find ourselves on that north side of that jet stream exposed to the more Arctic air mass, and we don't get much benefit from that low bringing warmth into the south, and that's what we were hoping to see. So that's the question that we're going to answer, I think, in the next forecast period when you come back to see me. Last time we had some questions, will there be a bit of an atmospheric river this weekend? And it doesn't seem so, even though we're going to get pounded with a bunch of precipitation and snow. And we are on that cold side of the jet stream, so a lot more of this is falling as snow in places. The only flooding concern we therefore have right now is at Kingcome River up the central coast, right? And they're looking at 50 to 90 millimeters by the end of the system on late Sunday. So brand new avalanche report outside Smithers, and this is one worth looking at. So this happened Wednesday, November 13th at 09:30. 2 people in the group. Caught but not buried, 1. So people involved, 1. Uptracking slope, aware of slab over crust and just getting ready to turn away from steeper terrain. Triggered and caught on the edge of the slab. Short ride, stayed on the surface. Details are Mount Harvey, 1,780 meters, cross-loaded, short, steep slope measured at 35-43 degrees with a convexity at the far side. Crown varied to 10 to 50 centimeters, average 30 centimeters. So it was a hard pencil slab. Sitting on the November 7th rain crust still, a thin layer of softer 4F sugary facets was the failure plane, approximately 30 meters wide, 50 meters long. So look at the stratigraphy of the snow here. Right here's the very surface of it, and you have this hard wind slab. All it's pushed snow on top, powdery snow. It looks like a lot of it probably, and soft facets here. So this is like stuff in between that's just like crystally chunky. I don't know, soft facets, stuff that's different than this hard rain crust here, and that allowed this stuff to let go and keep moving, right? Again, not very steep area, and doesn't look like a crazy amount of snow is up there, but it doesn't need to be much to end your life sometimes. They got lucky, although it doesn't sound like it was very deep, and there was 2 of them. Hopefully they could have, they were prepared. They seem to know enough about avalanches. Hopefully they're prepared to do the right things should they have been caught. Avalanche Canada saying Saturday, the BC coast to the passes of the cold front, extreme southwesterly winds will ease to moderate to strong over the northwest ranges. Moderate flurries will continue Saturday with precipitation amounts 10 to 20 millimeters. Funnel system brings heavy precip and strong extreme southwesterly winds to the south coast Saturday. Precip amounts 15 to 25 mils can be expected by the afternoon over southwest facing slopes on the south coast ranges. In the interior, funnel system spreads moderate snow and strong southwesterly winds across the interior on Saturday. Precipitation, maybe 10 to 20 millimeters, can be expected over the North Rockies and Caribou ranges. Here we are in satellite. You can see there's a low sitting there around Wyoming. It's bringing some snow maybe into some places like Montana. We're looking at maybe southern Saskatchewan. There's talk that Manitoba will see some snow in the coming days. Here's our highest sitting where it should be in the Pacific. Up in Alaska, got a bit of a low sitting there. The two of them together are, they're throwing in this precipitable moisture at us. It's not really a storm quite the same way you might think of it. It's, kind of the cold front of this guy's arm here. Sure, we could call it that, but it's not its independent storm necessarily slamming straight into it. It's a bunch of moisture, though. Yeah, it's an interesting looking system, but that's not the point here. Here's our next bunch of nastiness sitting there at the bottom of the high, and it's going to just ride the conveyor up and dig in, and that's going to be our story, I think, over the next bunch of days. And we know our temperatures are cooler right now than we'd like them to be. Northern BC taking this snow, and here's our line of precip. So one of the questions we had last forecast video here was, does this come in? Do we have an atmospheric river event this weekend? And no, I think this is going to get cut off, and we're going to see this moisture be more slammed in because of this high into the province of BC over the next bunch of days. So I think we get a bit of a pass on that. That's not happening this weekend, although our next storm is going to be bigger than we expected. And I think our Arctic outbreak may provide some colder air into BC than we hoped for as well sooner. So the picture is becoming more and more clear on what that'll look like. So we do have, that stream is out there, but no, it kind of gets cut off. And now we have this bunch of moisture that's just sort of being thrown in along the edge of this cold front, more or less, right? Because it's not its own storm per se, even though it might feel like that from your perspective as it approaches. This guy's helping throw things into here. This guy's helping steer it, and it's cutting off this moisture temporarily, so that'll leave it out there. So we'll back up here and have a little bit of a closer look, but northern BC taking it real good. You can see it's going to start sliding its way on down. So sometime early this evening, you'll probably start seeing it in that corridor. West of Prince George, north of, you're going to start seeing the Pine Pass. Will probably start taking a little bit of that as well. Come into the early morning hours by then, because it's going to be cold. You're definitely going to be seeing some snow falling in these bands. So expect to see some in Prince George, maybe even in Williams Lake. You might see some of your first snowfall of the year in there. And heavier precip up the coast, you can see some of those winds will be blasting pretty good Saturday morning. So you'll be watching for that wind slamming up the side. You're going to be putting some big waves on the beaches there. And we got that pulse coming into the Caribou Mountains. So Saturday at 11 a.m., we're already sitting here in Wells getting just dumped on. Coast Mountains getting dumped on. You can see just south of Terrace getting dumped on there. Kitimat probably getting dumped on. Up that Highway 16 corridor. If you got a place to travel on Saturday on the Highway 16, I wouldn't do it. Going up to Pine Pass, going to be really, really gross on Saturday evening. And by then, still even down further, you can see how that's transitioned down. You can see why that Highway 5 area, why the Rocky Mountain Trench is going to start seeing a lot of that, why Rogers Pass, the Kootenays, and even if you're now down in the in Coquihalla Highway and places like that, you're probably still going to see gross travel conditions, even if they don't meet snowfall warning criteria, right? So you got to always remember, just because it doesn't meet snowfall warning criteria, but there'll be heavy rain along through into Portland, through Washington State. So they're looking at some of that snowfall going more into Montana and Idaho. Still Sunday morning, some of that snow hanging around. Revelstoke still enjoying some of that. Blue River still enjoying some of that. So quite a bit of snow coming at you this weekend. Blue River, I think. Revelstoke, you're going to see some pretty good periods of it. Cranbrook, it's coming at you. Yeah, definitely. You're going to be on the receiving end of some of this as well. So it seems like every region of BC this weekend is going to see some of this stormy weather, snowy weather, and it's on the cold side, right? So, and that's the next thing we want to look at is, what are those temperatures up there like? And out there to work with, there's some cold weather right now. By Monday in the Yukon, minus 30s. You're starting to see Monday morning. That's showing up in the Fort Nelson area, up into the. I know if it's showing in the Rockies, it's going to be cold here in the Caribou Mountains. I'm sure Punxsutawney's going to see some real cold. So some of you might see your first temperatures in the 10 belows. Maybe not if you're in the lower areas, or if you're in the southern part of BC. But you're still. Look at this, and this cold outbreak is coming, and we will come back and look at this storm here in a minute, because you can see the warmth there is to work with here and the cold there is to work with. So there's a bunch of ingredients sort of available right now for storms to get really angry. And that's coming into BC Monday. Still very, very cold at night. Very cold. Going to see some of our first really cold temperatures into the far north. Some of the 20 belows for you in the Peace, probably up in Fort Nelson, maybe even to some 30s if you're in the right place in BC. But we're not seeing that in the model, but I don't see any reason why not yet. And here's that next storm, and we're hoping it would beat back things a little bit. But look at this, 9:48. We have atmospheric river. We have a hurricane force low that's punching right at Vancouver Island. It's mostly going to be slamming the United States, though, it looks like. But look at these wind fields. I mean, BC is going to be taking some of this still, right? And you can see where the high cold is 1046 up there. That's very cold. 1035. That's streaming down the United States. You can see how it's fueling some mid-latitude cyclones now. Next week, Wednesday, into Manitoba, looking real good. BC taking some snowfall later in this event, but this thing just hanging around for days. So I think we're going to see a substantial event. If this holds true this way for people in Washington State, but especially into Oregon and especially into California, looking at some of this, maybe a couple days of atmospheric river landing up right on you as this thing sits here. And even after this many days, it's still 973. It doesn't diminish that much. It's managed to maintain quite a bit of strength after several days of sitting there, and it's even moving around and doing its own thing out there. Look at the storms that are moving through the Great Lakes later next week. Maybe some snow on the backside of that, but I mostly try to forecast this corner of Canada and particularly the Pacific Northwest mostly if I can. But you can see we're looking at snow next week into wide varieties of Western Canada at different times, and this storm hanging around out there, joining with a couple storms, having some Fujiwara interactions, circling each other around maybe. So this is modeling, this is far out, but I'm concerned that we're going to see some really meaningful and impacting storms south of us. BC will take some of the brunt. For sure, we just don't really have a clear picture yet on that. We know this weekend's going to be snowy. That's what we know for sure. Nice swath in Manitoba over the weekend. So yes, it looks like maybe Justin's going to see quite a bit in the Rocky Mountains. There's a bit of a gap still on this modeling. I think we might see more of that in the interior than this shows. But hey, that's the modeling, and it's pretty good at what it does. But you can see that snow really stretching out. You see some pretty big snowfall totals in BC coming in the next bunch of days. Big lump in the Caribou Mountains, big lump on the Coast Mountains, maybe 80 centimeters, maybe 100 plus in there. Maybe some big dumps by Revelstoke looking like 60, 70, 45s, okay, 48, 50s in there, 70s up the coast, maybe into the Coast Mountains, and you go down to the U.S. side, 83 centimeters of snow. So looking at some big snowfall totals. I hope you're all ready that winter is here. So please support me as best you can. Hit like, share, subscribe, tell a friend. Come back to the channel as often as you can. I've got lots of content on here of all different kinds, not just forecasts. So feel free to check it out. And maybe I do my best to not always be so obnoxious and politically obtuse, but I can't quite help it. I'm just being myself, and I made a YouTube channel where I can just sit here and be myself. That's kind of what I'm doing, right? And that's all you can ask in the world to want to do. So sometimes you just got to be honest about how you feel about things, like what's been going on in the world, and But anyways, I'm mostly what I want to talk about is weather. That's my passion. That's mostly what I want to talk about. That's mostly what you're gonna get here. So here we are again, looking at another bunch of events in BC, and maybe seeing some colder air coming at us. Maybe after all these events in the weekend following this, we could see some mighty chilly weather. Those high temperature, those high pressures, the way things are set up out there coming into this next forecast period. Looks like there's a lot of cold air to work with, and we got some big stormy conditions. And the thing is, the storm is going to mix things up, and it's going to make things move a little differently than what we're seeing here. So we'll need a few days to account for what each step of the process is going to look like. So keep turning your and dial to here, and I'll do my best to keep trying to keep you informed. All right, everybody, that's the show for today. Bye now.